Neuwärts FM Transformer wird präsentiert vom Transformationswerk, der Workshop- und Event-Location für Neues. Informationen zu Räumen, Menschen und Methoden auf transformationswerk.de.
Welcome to the playground.
You think you've seen it all? Neuwärts FM.
Ready for transformation? Who says that doesn't work?
And here is your host, Ingo Stoll.
Hello and welcome to a new episode. It's episode number 47 of the Transformer podcast. My name is Ingo Stoll and today we talk about creativity, education and future technology with a very special guest. Nolan Bushnell is with us. He is the founder of Atari Computer, Godfather of the video gaming industry, and the only boss that Steve Jobs ever had. So, I would recommend, without further ado, we dive into the talk that we recorded at the CeBIT 2017 in Hanover. Enjoy!
Insights.
Let's say this is my personal highlight of the day. With us is Nolan Bushnell. You are a grandmaster of, what shall I call you, like video gaming, technology, pioneering. What do you prefer? I mean, can you still hear about this Atari, Steve Jobs things?
I think the way I like to characterize myself as a person who is always curious and somewhat bored and looking for something different.
Well, that sounds like a brilliant attitude for life, right?
It's really worked for me. I find that every time I climb down a new rabbit hole, that some really weird things happen to me, and it always makes me happy. And I've actually quantified it a little bit. In fact, I've been thinking about writing a book, but I do a dice game.
Yeah.
And the dice, at January 1 of every year, sometime around noon, I throw the dice and decide on a new project for that year. And it has to be something that I can do kind of part-time, that's not too hard, but it has to be very different. Because I've been learning a lot about how to exercise your brain. And a lot of people say, oh, I play Sudoku every day, or I do the New York Times crossword puzzle every day. That doesn't count. I learned how to play chess when I was 10 years old. Mm-hmm. I still play chess, but all of the neurogenesis, all the dendrite formations were done when I learned how to play.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm still playing, that's not really good brain science. So what you have to do is you have to do things that are uncomfortable. And your brain constantly fights that.
Yeah.
So the trick is, I write down 11 things that can be done in a year. And by having a relatively long list, you start getting into things that are kind of uncomfortable. But then you throw the dice and you have to do
One thing.
Okay. And so, for example, 4 years ago, the dice said, write a book. Now, to put that in context, I'm dyslexic. I can't spell. My written grammar is horrible. And so, to me, writing a book was never something that I thought I should do. But once you say, and also there's this idea of forward thinking, that you say, I'm going to write a book to get it published. So if you think to yourself, I'll never get it published, you don't write the book. But if you do it because the dice told you so, then you don't have to go to that forward thinking thing. But then funny things happen. I wrote the book. I found out I could get an editor. The editor made it readable, and I got it published.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. And it opened a lot of doors in various other ways. In fact, my science fiction book, hopefully I'm going to have out by the middle of the year.
Yeah, looking forward to. So, what's on your list? What's your project for 2017?
Art.
What art?
I'm doing kinetic art that lights and changes, and I've reestablished. I know how to program an Arduino now, so that I can make things travel. I've relearned how to make a stepper motor work. I've got some pneumatics involved, so my art is going to mess with the people who view it.
Hopefully.
In fact, after I'll show you some pictures of some of the stuff I've done.
That's good. So
and it's turned out to be really fun. And I've got a gallery that wants to do a one-man show for me, and so it's a whole different world.
So what did you discover in the rabbit hole this year already, going down the art path? So what are the learnings?
I'm learning I'm learning a whole bunch of other things because I had gotten used to doing things on the computer all the time, and with my mouth and with my person, but not really building stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I've got some stuff, and I can pick it up, and I can hold it, I can show it to people, and it's fun. And the last really good programming language that I was good at was Pascal. That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so now,
school, yeah.
In order to program an Arduino, I mean, it's a subset of C++, and now I can program again.
Anything that was on your list that you hoped for? The dice say this should be
last year was to produce a play.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still working on that. I wasn't able to accomplish it in a year, but it's all written and it's pretty much designed and everything. And now we just have to figure out a way to get it into production. It's actually a musical, turned into a musical, because I had a good friend who writes music for some movies, and we've gotten together, and it's actually called Pong the Musical.
Pong musical.
It's the story of the square ball who wants to become round because he's tired of being too square and not hip enough.
They love it. Yeah, good.
It's a hero's journey story.
Yeah, must be. Yeah. So I wondered, when it was like 2 days ago when they said, well, it might be getting the chance to talk to you. I thought about, what shall I ask you, And besides all the obvious things, I really want to know what drives you these days in two directions. One is a personal one, if you don't mind answering this. What drives you after all these things that you have done already? So what is still today driving you if you look to the future, to your personal future?
I think what my primary driver is curiosity. Mm-hmm. I'm always interested in what's around the next corner. I'm very passionate about some new tools, virtual reality being one of them. I'm really passionate about learning. How can so much of human happiness and productivity and capability really comes from education. And I think education in the world is broken. It's probably the worst example of technology not being used. And it is driven by schools that think that teachers are more important than students, that history is more important than the future, that lectures are more important than computers. It's broken in my estimation. And I'm a voice saying, focus on the kids, focus on the kids. Keep them passionate. A first grader comes in and they're happy and they're passionate and they can hardly wait to get to school.
Yeah.
And by the 6th grade, that's gone. Their passion has been driven out of them.
Yeah.
Their love for learning has been ruined by school.
So what can we do to fix it?
Projects, computerized lessons, computerized systems, use game dynamics to teach. Teachers should be mentors.
So we need to teach the teachers first, right?
No.
Okay.
All you have to do is get the software in front of the kids and have the teachers will be the last to catch up because their mindset is already solidified. And you can say you can teach them, but they will be much more resistant to change than the students. So the students will be an early indicator. and whenever I say things like that, your telephones will line up with teachers who are so offended, and I can just say, get a life, you guys. Embrace the future. You're obsolete. Get used to it. I'm sorry.
It's brilliant. I mean, a friend of mine, he's working in Switzerland, and he's trying to bring video, not video games, but video to the classrooms, right? And he started 10 years ago with the first video recorder, a digital video recorder to, have like things on telly and use them, like current things, make them usable for teachers to bring them, and change the way we teach. And he's still struggling. And what is he struggling with? Like law, authorities, mindsets, attitudes that say we know better how to teach. And we did this for the last, education must be the slowest system to
it's
change.
Horrible.
So we need a revolution, right?
I have seen classes in which there's a computer for every kid, and they spend 70% of their time, screen time. You can walk into the classroom, hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
When you talk to them, the kids are happy, they're curious, they're working on projects, they're engaged. When the bell rings, they don't get up and run out. They want to finish what they're doing. They would stay there all night if you let them.
I mean, I have a first grader at home. What is he doing at the moment? If he comes home, he asks me about. We have an iPad, it's like a dragon park thing. It's a little game where they need to breed and feed dragons. Dragonvale, yeah. So where they actually learn what
some of those are
money.
Some of those are really hard.
Yeah. Some of these dragons are really hard.
Really hard to get.
I got the light dragon. I'm on level 21, or let's say, because we play together.
Right.
And I always wonder how to get more of these diamonds and things without just buying them. But that's a different story. What I see is that he's
engaged.
He's engaged, and he's learning about the value of money and what to do to reach the next level, and whether he's considering whether it makes sense to feed the dragon or just save the food stuff, whatever, just to bring his best dragon on the next level, whatever. So strategy.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just taught him chess. We did the first chess things, a couple of weeks ago. He's 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's the same thinking.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Get him onto Minecraft.
Yeah, we didn't start so far, but yeah.
Do it tomorrow. I think Minecraft might be the best piece of educational software that's ever been developed.
So what's in it that lets you think about?
It's building,
like
but there are recipes. You know, for example, if you want glass, you have to find sand and then you have to heat it, and you know, all of a sudden it's such a rich world that you can explore, but in an understandable way. And I think that once kids get into it, it's really very, very, very powerful.
What do you tell those parents who say, well, if my kid is spending so much time in front of a screen, what about outdoor? What about being curious and discovering what's just around the next corner I don't know, just around the next tree, playing outside? Because I mean, we were raised like that. We didn't have computers, so we went outside to explore the world. So is it something that you would rather say might be a good simulation, so discovering the world there, or do we need both?
We need both. I think that extremism in anything is a problem, and that balance in life balance is important. We need physical activity. You know, when I'm in a city like this, I try to never take a cab. I'm very happy with a half-hour walk.
Yeah.
And a brisk walk. I don't always get to work out in a gym like I'd like to, but at the same time, just in your regular life, you can get a lot of learning around, you know, working around the next corner, what have you. So with my kids, I have 8 kids, and which seems a lot. People look at me like I'm some kind of nutcase, but maybe. But I always tried to have a balance. And if somebody was being too video game centric, I try to pull them out and get them into sport of some sort or another. But we as a family have always skied. We've always had pretty good vacations and things like that. But I think that the thing that I was always pretty extreme on was television.
Watching television?
Yeah, I didn't let the kids watch TV very much.
Yeah.
No, we always had a TV. They could be on, but I would always make them feel guilty about it. and at Christmas, one of the guys said, "You know, Dad, one of the things you did to me is I can't watch TV without feeling guilty." And it worked. And I know you're not here. Well, because if I'd seen them watch TV, I'd say, "Oh, what, you're trying to drop your IQ a little bit more today?"
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Just, you know, didn't ever say no. I just say, "Are you sure you want to do this? Is it, you know, isn't there something more interesting? Have you thought about it?"
Great. I have to reconsider this. So, because, yeah, but television, I mean, it's dying anyway, probably.
Yeah.
So there might be new potentials just to become more active and, yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. I'm pretty technical.
Yeah.
And the other day, I wanted to watch something on TV. I couldn't figure out how to get the right channel. Finally, I realized that I had to change the source because we have a cable box, and then it was on other things, and you know, it was a neurogenic experience just to get the damn TV turned on.
It might be another rabbit hole to find out how this bloody
Right.
thing really works, probably.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think I've got it now.
Yeah.
But I probably hadn't done it for 3 months.
I mean, this thing should work, right? I mean, it's nothing you really would like to do. So, yeah, and I talked to you about your personal drivers, so thanks for these sensors. If you look ahead, and this is the other perspective, to society as a whole, so let's say not the personal view, your family, you and me, but we as a society. So we have a lot of challenges, a lot of potentials, a lot of risk. We heard about this here all day, AI, whatever. So what do you think? What makes you positive about our future as a society, if it does?
Every new technology has freed up people to make the world a better place. And I'm on the board of a self-driving car company right now. And when I go through the math, it looks like the self-driving car in the next 15 years will probably eliminate 15 million jobs in the United States. And to me, I say hooray, because now there's going to be 15 million people able to build the future that I want. I mean, unemployment is driven by bad education that I'm trying to fix, and a failure of imagination, and bad government. If the government can be good, if there's always a way to fund things that need to be done for the future, because an awful lot of the stuff that I want in the future is really driven by capital goods, infrastructure, stuff like that. I mean, I want to get all the self-driving cars underground. I want our cities to become parks.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to get anywhere, either by walking or bicycling, and not see a car. So, and that's totally possible because with a self-driving car, you don't need to see where you're going. And in fact, all the windows in a self-driving car can become screens. So when you're traveling to work every day, one day you'll be driving down the streets of a colony on Mars. The next day you'll be driving down the streets of Durango in the American West 20 years ago. Next day you'll be be driving down Jurassic Park, being attacked by dinosaurs.
Yeah. Or you take your first graduate and play a chess game, right?
Exactly.
Because you don't have to stick your hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, Nolan Bushnell, thank you very much for just sharing some ideas and some personal insights.
Well, for what it's worth, I'll change my mind tomorrow.
That's good. That's good. And stay curious. Watch for the rabbit holes. And we are happy to find out what the dice will say next year and the year after.
I am too. And the thing that's interesting is my list keeps getting longer as opposed to being shorter as I use them up, because I think of new things that should go on there. And in fact, I'm going to do a book that really will give people ideas of how to create their own dice game.
Yeah. Let the dice decide.
It makes you happy.
And I want to see the game, the Pong play, definitely.
Yeah. Done and done.
Okay. So if anybody wants to get, more keeping track with you, some information, where would you send people to? Where can I get information?
Just go into Nolan KB at Modal VR.
Good. I highly recommend you do this as you listen here. And I say thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
That's all for today. As you recognized, it's a rather short episode in comparison to our normal standards, but no rule without exception, right? And Nolan Bushnell was for sure an exceptional guest to this little podcast. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I say thank you for listening. Most likely, thank you again. But let me welcome all our new listeners as well, because we see this little podcast is growing week by week, and I am very happy about that. Yeah. And in 2 weeks' time, you will find episode 48 coming up with Sascha Pallenberg. He is the head of digital content at Daimler, and he will spend his insights on the digital transformation of the company that invented the car 130 years ago. So that's promising for sure. And it's up to me at the end to say bye-bye, take care, and happy transformation.